Oh, look at my hair. So this is like a white light, and then this is super yellow, orangey, and this is a mix. I think I'm gonna keep it there, if that's okay with you guys. Hey, how y'all doing? Ooh, and I'm gonna brighten it up. So I just got done filming my Sephora haul, and my hair was a hot mess the entire time. I had this grand idea to shower, wash my hair, and try to film the video real quick while I was allowing my hair to do at least some level of air drying, and it air dried all the way and it looked like a frizzy hot mess. So I finally had a chance to re-wet it, put proper like volumizing and protective product in it, and then blow dry it out. So here we are. And now I'm gonna put it back so I can do some makeup and get ready with you all. I'm sitting down, so if this angle looks weird, that's why. As I said in that video, I don't know if it'll post before or after this one, I'm so freaking tired. I am mentally exhausted. I filmed that video. It was over an hour long of filming. It was like an hour and 15 minutes. I hope I can edit it down to at least under an hour. And I was standing the whole time on this hard tile in the bathroom. And so I'm tired. Like I literally feel 1,000 years old. My lower back is like, go back to bed, woman. Go lay down somewhere. So I want to use some of the products from the Sephora haul. And I want to talk about random stuff. Do you have your coffee or tea? I don't have coffee or tea, but I have my new obsession. I said new. Excuse me, this has been like a 3-year-long obsession. My 0 sugar root beer, A&W. I'm obsessed. And don't come in the comments telling me all about the fake sugar drama. I'm gonna drink my fake sugar. I follow one doctor, I forget his name, he like debunks a lot of the sort of urban myths or common day beliefs about different medical things. And he has really gotten me to think differently because he actually goes through clinical research to show, if things are what people think they are or not. And one of the things that he debunked is that fake sugar is bad for you, that it does something to your microbiome in your stomach. Is that what it's called? The microbiome? Did I just make that up? In your stomach. Messes with the bacteria in your stomach, or that it does things to your blood sugar that you are not expecting, or it causes cancer, or all these other things that people have cooked up. Believe what you want to believe. As for me, I'm gonna still enjoy my fake sugar. All right, friends, so let's talk about what we're gonna do with our eye makeup today. In the other video, I said I have really been thinking about my eyeshadow collection and wanting to narrow it down to just Natasha Denona, who I'm obsessed with, Anastasia Beverly Hills, who I am okay with. I like the formulas, my Byredo Remembrance palette, which I think is fantastic, and my Viseart palettes, and my Tom Fords. I didn't say that in the other video, but I have a few Tom Ford quads that I really like. I don't like that they have a space in them. Let me show you what I mean, what I'm talking about. So, like, here's the Nude Dip, which is one that I often take on work trips. So easy, so compact, great formula, really easygoing, and very friendly for my mature eyes. Here are the colors, real simple, real easygoing. I hate with, can we get our lighting right? What happened? Sorry, I don't know what's happening with the lighting. This is why I think being a full-time YouTuber is probably not in my future. But, the little, what do you call them? The little tiny brushes, the little like elf brushes that go in here that nobody uses. I feel like this is such wasted space. It would be so much prettier if the compact was just like this. In fact, I'm looking at the Charlotte Tilbury compacts. Talk to me. I don't want to get the Pillow Talk one. There's one that has mostly grayish silvery tones, kind of looks a lot like this, that I'm interested in. Do I need it? No. Let's just be clear. I don't need any more makeup in any part of my life. Hold on, I need to adjust because this is about to fall off. Okay, is that okay? I don't need any more makeup, period. But I've gotten recently obsessed with eyeshadows again. Anyway, the Charlotte Tilbury ones, I'll put up a picture on the screen. It doesn't have this extra space, so it really just is the compact quad. Now, coincidentally, I have been hearing in the makeup community that big eyeshadow palettes are out. Wow. So we have really turned the corner, and people are into little tiny eyeshadow palettes like this that are convenient, easy. You can get a nude look, pop it in there and keep it pushing, friends. Okay. So I have a bunch of these that are for work now, and they'll be in that video. Some of them will be in that video. I've recently used a lot the Viseart little palettes too. I haven't used this one for work, but it looks like this. This is the Violet Etendu. How pretty is that color scheme there? In fact, this looks a lot like the Roxa palette, some of the purples in there. People are going to say that everything that has purple in it looks like that Natasha Denona Roxa palette. Maybe not quite, but this sort of has some similar tones. So I'm trying to resist buying the Roxa palette. I don't need it, to be honest with you. I have beautiful purples in other eyeshadow palettes, and I do have the Lila palette, which the Roxa palette was inspired by. So I'm trying to resist that one, friends. The Kashmiri palette is one that I have taken on work quite a bit. And it looks like this. This is maybe the most easygoing of the ones that I have. And you can get like just a regular wash of color right here, or you can get a little fun and do some purpley silver tones there that are muted and pretty and very appropriate for my nearly 50-year-old self at a work meeting. This is a nice palette. So, and it has a little mirror and it's such cute packaging. And then I don't love the packaging on this one so much. This is called the Minx Etendu. Let me tell you about that in a minute. But this one looks like this. I thought I would love this one the most. And I do sometimes, but there are on occasion times when these peachy orangey tones don't look right on me. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And so this palette has not been as comfortable to wear and as easygoing as perhaps the Kashmiri palette, which has the more cool tones and purpley colors. Anywho, what I wanted to say about what was it I was going to tell y'all about? Oh my gosh, I had a total brain fart. I'm gonna have to come back to it later, y'all. I lost my dang train of thought. I really did. Sorry. All right, so let's get going on today's look. I gotta pick an eyeshadow palette that I want to use, and I really don't know, but I'm wondering. I rediscovered this Persona Identity palette. Do you remember this? So this has been around for a long time, friends. Here's what this looks like. Very nice color story. Nice shimmer metallics. I guess these are metallics, really. Beautiful mattes. A variety of looks that you can get out of here. So this was saved, like salvaged. So this was in the giveaway pile and has made its way back in. The reason I talked about the Persona palette is because it reminds me, I'm digging down in a drawer beneath me in case you're wondering why I keep dipping down. The Mario Ethereal Eyes Moonlight palette. Should I play in this one? Yeah, let's go for it. Let's play with this palette, even though I bought this for travel. So let me start off with some primer, and I'm gonna start telling y'all about my weekend trip out to the mountains. Ooh, Lord, are y'all ready for this one? I'm using the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Primer. I really don't need anything else more luminous, but I make crazy decisions when I'm doing my makeup. I'm not a makeup artist, and I don't feel the need for my makeup to be perfect, so I have fun with my makeup. So, friends, we had, was it the first weekend in November? I think so. Yes. We had a couple of friends from my husband's childhood. Let me tell you something. He's been friends with this guy. The guy's name is Jeff. For 46 years, we discovered as we were talking. They met in kindergarten. Or was it 47 years? Something like that. They met, I think, when they were 6. My husband is in his early 50s. And that was such a cool thing to realize. Anyway, we had been anticipating their visit for forever. So Jeff and his wife came, super lovely people, wonderful, really, really nice. And my husband wanted them to have a good time, and he wanted to show them the state. So we love going out to the mountains. We love going to wineries, and what a beautiful time of year to go. It is the end of October or early November that is the most ideal time to head out to like the Shenandoah Valley, the Appalachian foothills. It's all sort of the same area that I'm thinking about there, and go into, I think it's called George Washington National Forest. Is that right? I always want to say Jefferson National Forest, but I think it's George Washington National Forest. See some scenes and sights there, and maybe go to a winery or whatever in Charlottesville as we were heading into the mountains. So my husband in particular has an obsession with Stanton, Virginia. It's spelled Staunton. And I looked up the history of Stanton, and I won't get into all of it, but it had a history as being almost like a center of the South at one point in the pre-Civil War era. So there are some really old buildings there. It had sort of a boom, if I'm not mistaken, like right before the turn of the 20th century, 19th to 20th century. And there are lots of beautiful old Victorian homes in the town itself. It's a super quaint little town. Let me pause. I'm going to be using the Bobbi Brown Weightless Skin Foundation. This is in the color 64 Honey, which I wanted to get some foundations that were a little bit darker for my skin tone when I am tan. So I just tanned yesterday. I know y'all sick of hearing me talk about tanning already. I talk about it so much, but it's a big deal, and it means that I have to then fluctuate, like flex, modulate, move between. making up words here. The different foundations I have some light foundations for my super pale self. Like this is probably closer to my genuine skin color. Actually, the lightness in there. I am as pale as they come, like Casper the Ghost Pale. But then I do some nice golden skin tan, which I really like the way that that looks too. Anyway, so this is supposed to be very mature skin friendly. So that's what the color looks like, honey. It has a nice drip to it. As you can see, it's not a thick, cakey foundation. So let's start to apply that. I'm going to use this. Let me tell y'all something about these little sponges. They look disgusting. I do wash them. I promise I wash them. These are the Real Techniques sponges, and I just adore them. They're, to me, the best sponges I've ever used. They absolutely beat out the Beauty Blender. The Beauty Blender. I have bad luck with the Beauty Blender. I don't use it. So, Stanton, Virginia. There's a couple of colleges in the town. The School for the Blind and Deaf is in Stanton too. And there is this old sanitarium. If you know what that word means, think about the word sane. And so back in the day, when people were suspected of having different mental afflictions or illnesses, they might have been sent to a sanitarium, which is basically like a psychological hospital from back in the day, so that they can become sane again. And so this one is called, now currently, the Blackburn Inn. It used to be called the Western State Hospital here in Virginia. So it was a state school for a long time. See, look at this. This is like a little bit almost golden neutral. And I want something that has a little bit more pinky red tone like this. So one day I will find a perfect foundation for the day after I have tanned. This is not it. I do think that the House Labs that I showed in the last video was probably the right color for this. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like so you see what I'm saying. So this is the House Labs, and this is called 325 medium warm. I'm just going to put a little bit here at the sake of like messing up my whole look, but I ain't a model and nobody cares. Let me put a little bit on here. It's a little bit, you see more golden tone there. I feel like that blends in. That's so pretty, so dang pretty. Maybe even more than this Bobby Brown one here. I need to blend this out a little bit more. Anyway, this is going to be the perfect color for when I'm tan. And I also love the Il Maquillage foundation that I have. I forget the color of it, but it's a nice, more like brown toned color that, and it's in my other room. Anyhow, so the sanitarium, the Western State Hospital, it was originally created, friends, to be like a kind place for therapy for people that had mental illness. So the grounds are really pretty. There are gardens on the grounds. There are these old, I think it's called Greek colonial revival style. I hope I got that right. But it's the same style of buildings that are on the campus of the University of Virginia. In fact, the architect for these buildings on the Inn grounds was the same. He was trained by Thomas Jefferson, who Thomas Jefferson had his own architectural style. Let me tell you something. If you are ever traveling through Virginia and want a very cool place to stop, I would say go through Charlottesville, Virginia, and stop at Monticello. It is the home of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most beautiful buildings in all of Virginia, designed completely by him, and it has got the most interesting little quirky architectural features that if you have a good guide, they will point all of those out to you. And it's a big property that sits on a hill overlooking Charlottesville area proper, like at large and proper. And especially in the fall when the leaves are changing colors. Did I forget to say the end of October, early November is prime like leaf peeping season, foliage watching season here in the state of Virginia, especially as you get out to the mountains. Okay, so Monticello, if you're looking out from the Thomas Jefferson property, the grounds, on a fall day, it is one of the most like glorious scenes ever. Really, really cool place to tour. But anyway, back to the Blackburn Inn. So it's a pretty place. And so the patients were allowed to, or encouraged to garden and be one with nature. The main building has, I forget what they're called. There's a name for them. The catwalks at the top. There's another name. It's escaping me, and it's not a turret. Oh my gosh, the Widow's Peak, and there's another name, whatever, around the top of the building where you can actually go up. So there's this spiral staircase, original spiral staircase on the 4th floor, and you can go up there. My husband and the couple that were with us, they went up. I would not. Like, I'm afraid of heights. Going up that rickety staircase scared the hell out of me, and there was no way I was going to stand out on that Widow's Peak walk with a little fence. I need a fence. If I'm going to be up high, I need the fence to be about here. I can't have the fence being at my waist because I feel like I'm going to topple over it. Anyway, The idea was that the patients would be in nature and enjoy the therapeutic nature of nature, being out in a peaceful environment, gardening and all of that. So as the original manager, president, whatever he was called, I think they were called superintendents of the property, either passed away or moved out of the position or whatever, it switched management. And so there was a period of time in the early 1900s where there was someone that took over the sanitarium who believed in eugenics. If you're not familiar with the concept of eugenics, overall, it is the belief that you should, something like this. It's not my technical definition, okay, but something like this, that you should be able to control the outcomes of breeding through having only certain people continue the population. So like breed out, like you would with animals, like you breed horses so that the strongest horses, come forward through the bloodlines and all of that. It's similar for humanity. So that if there are certain mental illnesses that you would not allow those people to procreate, I use the word breed loosely here, right? But procreate in favor of having people that were maybe perceived to be stronger physically and mentally procreate to advance the race of people overall. I mean, that's kooky enough on its own. And then on top of that, the concept has been used and sort of bastardized even further to justify some of like the Nazi ideology of wanting to get rid of certain groups of people, breed them out by not allowing them to breed or exterminating them. So it's some really dark, crazy, nasty, like the nastiest of humanity, the most disgusting thinking of humanity. So this superintendent that came to manage the sanitarium in the next century around the time of World War II, supposedly wrote back and forth with Hitler, advised him and took advice from Hitler, and did all of these crazy experiments. What was his name? I'll put it up on the screen. I forgot that too, y'all. My memory these days just ain't working. So he would do experiments on the patients, including sterilizing them by pointing, like radiation and whatever at their genitals so that they got damaged and would not be able to reproduce. Did all of these things. He performed lobotomies, and I'm talking about lobotomies like you saw in the old movies where they would stick the instrument up your nose and like manipulate your brain to turn off certain parts of it and everything. I mean, my God, can you imagine? And supposedly a lot of other horrors that are not sort of recorded because at that time, these hospitals and whatever did not require records to be kept. So you can imagine the sorts of things that likely either happened or were suspected to happen. We don't know, right? We don't know, but our imaginations go wild thinking about what happened in these places. And no one had to record it. They didn't have to record the number of deaths that happened there. Quickly, I'm going to be using for my concealer this All Hours Precise Angular Concealer from YSL in the color MN7, medium neutral 7. So this is new from the Sephora sale. By the way, look at the pretty wraparound here. So that's like a classy little touch. So the grounds has a lot of history. We are not certain that a number of the pieces of history are actually factually based or like in folklore. You know what I mean? So it's said that there are actually mass graves on the grounds where patients were experimented on and then disposed of if they died from the experiments or whatever. As people aged and died, they weren't given proper burials. They were put in these mass graves and all of this. And so that is supposedly confirmed through various workers like construction crews that came on site as the place was renovated or new buildings were put up or whatever, that would like unearth these mass graves and all of this. And then later on in the history of the sanitarium, it became a prison. So it closed down. I forget exactly all the details. I feel like there was some legislative action. The dude that I'm talking about went to the state legislature and tried to like petition for eugenics to be state policy and all this other stuff. And I don't remember if he was overturned or like what the heck happened there. But can you just imagine? So later on, I think it was in the 70s or so, it reopened as a state correctional facility. So then you had prisoners on site. And then it closed down again and reopened as the Blackburn Inn and Conference Center. Oh my God. So the grounds are beautiful. The buildings are beautiful. The actual lodging facilities were not. Like, I could have done without those lodging facilities. My husband and I joked around about this. I would have expected, based on the way that it looks on the outside, that the inside would have had what I call jewel tone colors to sort of match the time period. So what I mean by that is like dark, deep reds and purples and royal blues on the walls and, elaborate curtains and all of this stuff. No, this place looked like the equivalent of a IKEA hotel. Like it was furnished by IKEA. And the room that we stayed in, they put us downstairs in the basement. Oh my God. I almost told my husband, no, we're not staying in the basement. We got to get a different room. But I didn't want to be a big baby about it, right? And I was like, what if we do get a cool visit? That would kind of be fun to tell people about. I don't necessarily believe in ghosts. I do believe in energies. I believe that when we pass away, we turn into energy and we go back to the whole that is God and love and whatever we originated from. There are lots and lots of iterations of what that looks like and feels like and behaves like from different religious traditions. So in my mind, I just kind of mashed them all up together and think to myself, when we pass away, we go back to the great unknown. We came from there and we return to there, like our soul energy, our consciousness, the part of ourselves that cannot be encased in this physical being and held down by gravity ascends or transforms into this other realm that we just don't understand yet. We explain it through religion and all of that, but I believe that that exists. Or at least I hope it does, right? Because we've talked about like, what if it doesn't exist? And we're kind of screwed. But I am a believer and think there's something else out there. Where am I going with that? So I don't believe that there are like haunted ghosts that linger around, but I love hearing stories about it. And I find it fascinating that people believe it and that, who knows, maybe that does possibly exist. And I just don't know. I'm going to put on a little touch more of this concealer. Let me get this mirror going over here. Just a touch more. I really like the way this looks. It feels very skin-like. I mean, I've got a lot of sort of creasing naturally under my eyes and all of that, but I feel like it has nice coverage. I have had the situation where a lot of my concealers these days, they kind of just, they bunch up in places. And I'm not talking about just sitting in the creases. I mean, like they bunch. So it looks like patchy when I apply it. I don't know if that's a matter of the kind of primer I use and if I need to do that differently, but I'm kind of tired of it. And there are some concealers, like this appears to be one, that don't do that. And it covers nice and evenly, almost like a second skin. So again, friends, my first time using this, but this is the All Hours YSL concealer. So the place that we stayed, the room, we went down to the basement. We went down to get ourselves a cold pop. I'm sorry. Y'all, I'm on a mission to try to weave that into as many videos as possible. If you are from out of the country, or even if you are an American citizen or visitor and you're not sure what the hell I'm talking about, I will link the original video down below where I got that line from. It's a woman that's come to be known as Sweetie Brown, and she got interviewed because her house caught on fire. And there's so many famous little lines that came out of that clip. And I thank her forever and ever for the gem of the interview that she offered and all of the cuteness of her explaining that she went downstairs to get herself a cold pop. The room. I'm finally going to tell you all about the dang room. Promise I'm not purposefully withholding it. It was a cell. It's what it is. They have not bothered to update the finishes of the walls. Well, maybe they've done the walls over. They definitely have not redone the doors except to paint over them. What I mean by that is if you think about it being a sanitarium and then a prison, the doors, I'll see if I can get a picture and pop it up in here. There were these little mini doors on top that you would open to look in on the patients or the prisoners. Those were still there. And the room that we stayed in was clearly 2 prison cells with the wall broken down in between them. So there was a bathroom and like the little entryway and the coffee maker on one side, and the other side was this really cramped space with a bed. Horrible accommodations. I mean, I'm not a snob about hotels. As long as it's clean, like I'm happy with the Holiday Inn. I don't need to stay at the Ritz. However, for the price tag, I think this was like almost $200 a night. Was it? And I mean, that's not super expensive for a hotel night these days, but it is to be out in the mountains. It's not like a DC or Chicago or New York price. And the amenities were just horrible. Like there was no place to sit. There wasn't a rug. There was literally a cement floor with a little tiny like space rug, area rug thrown down. I mean, the furniture they had was horrible and dilapidated. I'm like, y'all can keep all this. I don't need it. I'd rather go glamping and like stay at a yurt, out in the Shenandoah Valley somewhere than have to deal with this. Okay, let's do some bronzer, contour and bronzer, Bronzer. Y'all know that contour is supposed to be more grayish in tone and just create shadows, and bronzer is supposed to make you look sunlit. But whatever. Okay, so I have Bobbi Brown is having a moment in my life today. Bobbi Brown bronzer. This is in the color Natural, and I'm choosing this because it's a little bit more reddish toned and cool toned, I think, and it will go well, I hope, with that eyeshadow palette. We went out to dinner in the town. The town creeped me the hell out, and I've been to Stanton many times, and I've always felt like just a weirdness being there. I have always felt, I kind of like how that looks. I've always felt like I didn't belong in Stanton. Like it just wasn't my town. I love Charlottesville. I feel comfortable there, although lately the population has been changing some. And what I mean by that is, I think, is it that pot became legal in Virginia? I don't even follow the dang laws. And so now some of the common spaces in Charlottesville have a lot of dispensaries and a lot more just public pot smoking. I'm not a pot smoker. I don't care if people smoke pot, but I don't want to have to smell it out in public. I just feel like that sort of, like that and cigarette smoke, all of that just sort of contaminates public spaces for everyone else. If you want to do that, let there be like a designated place somewhere else. Have at it. Enjoy yourself. It's not for me, and I don't want to smell it, and I don't want to see it on every corner. That's another conversation. Okay, but I like Charlottesville. I feel comfortable there. And some other towns in Virginia are really quaint. There's something, this sounds so stupid, but there's something really sort of sinister about Stanton to me. Like it has a dark history that I haven't uncovered yet. I love the architecture. I think all of the old buildings are really super pretty. We stayed at a beautiful, beautiful bed and breakfast at one point. I'll pop in some pictures of that if I can find what it looked like when we stayed, because it's been taken over, renovated, and sort of whitewashed. All of the inside of it is painted white and grays now. It's still beautiful, but when we stayed, it had all of those rich jewel tone colors that I was talking about and more period furniture, like Victorian furniture that matched the time period and all of that. So we went to dinner and then we drove around the town. And y'all know I'm always talking about that show From, F-R-O-M. If you have not gotten into From, oh man, you need to. It is on MGM Plus, and start with season 1. We're on season 3, and at the time that I'm filming this, there are only 2 more episodes left, including one tonight, Sunday night. I'm filming on Sunday, and next Sunday night. My husband's out of town, and we watch it together, and I am itching to watch it, but I cannot watch it without him. Like, we're committed to watching it together. So I'm like, why'd you have to go out of town while From is on? Because I'm going to miss it. I'm going to have to wait until you come back to watch it with you. But the reason I'm bringing up From is because one of the main things that gets you hooked right in season 1 as the show kicks off is that strangers are driving through and they get stuck going through the main street of this creepy town that looks abandoned with like dilapidated buildings and people that look disheveled and everything. And they try to drive through the town and keep going on their journey wherever they were heading. And they find that they go right into a circle and come right back through the town. So once you drive through the main town, there's no escape. You cannot leave out of that town because the only street that takes you out of the town loops you right back into it. And that's all I'm gonna say. And it's creepy. It's a creepy show, and it has me hooked, and it will have you hooked too. But that's how I felt about Stanton. I got that same kind of creepy feeling that I would get from watching the show From. I will say one other thing about the show From. When night falls, the sheriff, self-appointed sheriff, walks through town ringing this big like choir bell, da-ding, 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 to warn people to get inside because something starts to happen in the town after dark. Oh my God. You're not supposed to be out after dark. So in the town of Stanton on the main street, there were humans. There was human life and activity in the little restaurants and shops. However, the streets appeared wholly empty, and it was creepy, and the lighting is messed up to me. It's not bright street lighting that you would want at night. The lighting was almost like dark, like a dark orange. And I remember thinking, this is freaking creepy. And I don't get creeped out easily, but when I do get creeped out, my mind plays all kinds of tricks on me. So we were walking through the town after dinner, looking in the little shops. Like you would dip into a nice little local shop with like artisans and stuff and be like, oh, this is cute. People are normal here. This is nice. And then you'd walk out into the town and I would get this really sort of cold chill, like a shiver down my back. Like, I don't like something about this. And it was like a whole different place. Like, you better get your butt inside. So I was joking around with my husband and the couple we were with, like, I feel like there's a sheriff that's supposed to come through town and ring the bell. And the weirdest thing happened because there's like a clock tower in the town, in the main street. And then at the top of the hour, it dinged, like it rang, it ding, da-ding, da-ding. And I was like, oh my God, we got to get inside. We are not supposed to be out here. This is not good for us. Yeah, so that happened. So then we went back to we didn't go back to the hotel. Excuse me. We started to drive around the town because my husband wanted to show the couple that we were with, like the architecture, beautiful old Victorian homes and everything. And as we were driving through the town, we were trying to like take a right. I think, is it Marymount College? Not Marymount. It's actually called Mary Baldwin College. Sorry. That's up there. Marymount? I think that's what it's called. And so we ended up driving through the campus of Marymount thinking we were going to the other side of town. And we ended up on the street that took us right back to where we came from. And I was like, see what I'm saying? The town clock tower was dinging and now we can't escape the town. So I was acting a whole fool in that car that night. Somehow we made it back to the Blackburn Inn and we didn't have any creepy experience at night at all. Nothing. There weren't even noises at all. And so nothing weird happened, but I felt weird there. And that probably was just like my imagination. Let me tell you something. There's no place scarier in this world, on this planet, and probably in this universe than inside of the mind. The mind can play so many tricks on us about so many different things. It can absolutely color and change how we perceive things, whether we think there's danger or peace or love or comfort or whatever. The mind is a dangerous place to dwell, friends. And so, yeah, but we were tired and we ended up falling asleep and everything was fine. But the more that I read up about this place, because I ended up watching like some podcasts afterward. I'm glad I didn't watch them before because I think my mind would have gone even crazier. I watched the podcast before and creep myself all the way the heck out watching those podcasts. I'll link a few of those in the description box. They don't really tell you anything factual. They just tell you like what people have suspected and everything. Because like I said, there are not records of the craziness that likely happened at these sanitariums. It's kind of sad though when you think how many different kinds of people probably were sent to sanitariums. Like anyone that had any sort of difference or deviance from normal society, through the decades have been seen as having some sort of mental illness. Heck, even like people in the LGBTQ community were seen at one point as having mental afflictions and illnesses and were sent to these places. To think about the kinds of things that happen to folks is just insane, especially during that eugenics era. It sounds like horror. I can't even imagine. Elderly people, like once, folks, you have dementia and the family couldn't deal with the person anymore. They might have been sent to some of these sanitariums and so forth. It's a really crazy thing to think about. All right, stop with the bronzer, Veronica, and get on with the dang eyeshadow. Let's do it. Actually, I think I'm going to do a tiny bit of highlighter. I haven't messed with highlighter in a while, except to do like inner corner. So this is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude Glow. This came out last year. This is very nice packaging. I don't even know if she sells this anymore. Do y'all know? I haven't looked for it. So it had a nice sort of stamping on it and all that. It's kind of like a champagne-y color. I'm going to put this on a little bit beforehand because I want to put my blush over that. I don't want to be super duper shiny today. So we had a really, really lovely trip out to the mountains. We caught the foliage at nearly peak time. Had we gone maybe the week before, it would have been like full on God's glory in the trees kind of a thing. But they had pretty much they were like halfway fallen. So we still got some really beautiful, beautiful golds, reds, browns, orangey tones, and all of that amidst some of the green too, because there's some evergreen kinds of trees as well. And it was beautiful. The weather was gorgeous. It was like 60s and maybe low 70s during the day. And then in the mornings, it was, cool. Like you get that nice chill morning air. So that was really, really beautiful. We ended up going, oh my God, this is so crazy. Let me tell you something. There is nothing like a strenuous hike to let you know just how old and out of shape you are. And I am ashamed. I'm ashamed of how out of shape I am and that I have let myself go physically. I told y'all before in another video, I've lost a lot of weight. Oh, a lot of weight. I have lost the equivalent of a small child, like a young elementary schooler's worth of weight. So that's a good thing. Thank God, because if I had had that weight on me while I was trying to do this next strenuous thing I'm going to tell you about, I would have died. I would have died. Y'all would have needed to send out SOS, send a helicopter out to get me. So it's called Crabtree Falls. This is out in, I think it's called Lovingston, Virginia is the name of the town. Hold on, let me see what I want to do next. Let me quickly use this one size. I just want to try it, this translucent powder. I think it's going to be really thick. So I'm not looking forward to that part of things. And I'm going to use just a big fluffy brush. I don't even think this has a name on it. Oh, it's an e.l.f. This is an e.l.f. powder brush that I have had forever and a day. So it looks like this. Let me see if I can give you a sense of what this, how this works. That's a lot of powder that I just put in that one little spot, but let's see. Let me tell you a little trick. I like to tap out my powder onto a microfiber towel. So I'm going to do that back here behind the camera. I like to put like a little, quarter size, and then I like to take my brush and swirl it into the towel where the powder is. And that gets enough on here so that you have good coverage, but it's nicely distributed. I guess you could do that in your hand too, but the powder helps to grip, the towel helps to grip some of the powder and distribute. And then I can tap on right on the towel, tap off right on the towel. So I'm doing that now. It's like one of these motions, and then I tap, 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 tap to get the excess off. And so that's what it ends up looking. Well, you can't tell because it's the same color as the powder. But Crabtree Falls in Lovingston, Virginia is supposed to be the highest waterfall this side of the Mississippi. And here's the part that really pisses me off about the whole experience. I'm going to just tell y'all straight up what the issue was. It appears from the website, when you go look at things and whatever, that it's a perfectly fine everyday walk. It says that it's medium in terms of how strenuous it is. Y'all, hell to the no. This thing is absolutely, to me, extremely strenuous. So the way that it works is you're climbing up a total of 3 miles. And it's not 3 miles up, but it's 3 miles because it zigzags up the mountain. The mountain is really steep. So, it cuts this way and goes ever so slightly up the grade, and then it switches back. There's like a hairpin switch back, and then it goes up ever so slightly. And then you keep doing like that all the way up. These are not really well carved out paths. Have you been to Crabtree Falls? Or do you know what I'm talking about? Have you been on a hike like this where you're like, hold on a minute, who's supposed to be able to traverse over this? There are rocks and boulders and all sorts of roots from trees and whatever along the way. And you're climbing up. And so it's strenuous as hell. It's strenuous. I was like, so my husband and I started to go up with the couple that we were with. Unfortunately, the gentleman that was with us, he had a little bit of a knee issue. So it's kind of hard for him to get up. And he and his wife made it to a certain point, and we kept going thinking that they were behind us. And at one point we realized that they were not. And then we felt bad, and we're like, well, we don't want to really leave our guests. And it really wasn't important for us to get to the top, because all the while that you're doing the little hike, when you do the switchback and you get to a certain point, you can see the waterfall. You just see it at different points as you're going up different elevations. So we got high enough that I felt like we've seen what we need to see. We've seen, here's the problem. I have created a gray tone here by putting too much powder over it. And I'm going to create a mess by trying to put some more bronzer on it. Watch this. Let me see if I'm able to get the tone right here again. This is why I'm not a makeup artist. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I like to play. So this was a very, very strenuous hike. And here's the thing that just absolutely gets me about people. People can be so dumb, stupid humans. And I mean that seriously. When it comes to life and death things, I am not shy about talking about people being stupid. It's not like I like to walk around calling people stupid all day, but I was just amazed. The one thing it does have is signs everywhere that tell you, do not get off of the little bit of path that they carved out, the little joke of a path. And it will tell you many deaths have occurred here. It doesn't say one person died back in 1948. It says many people have perished here because they got off the path, which is a nice way of saying, don't be the next stupid person to fall down the mountain and die. So we had gotten to one lookout point, and there were a group of teenage boys that came up. Like, what's wrong with our teenage boys? And why do they have it in their blood to be crazy? Just absolute, maverick, crazy risk takers. What the hell? So there were about 5 or 6 of them, and they were just as rambunctious as could be. They were so excited to be doing this hike. And one of them said, let's go over the divide, meaning like the railing. Let's go on the other side and take pictures. And I'm sorry, but I went into mommy mode. I was like, no, you are not going over the other side. It is dangerous, and people die that way. People have perished, lost their lives going over that railing. You will not go over the railing. I went into mommy mode. I went into teacher mode. I went into like assistant principal mode. I was like, nope, that's not what's going to happen today. Not on my watch. Y'all ain't dying on my watch in front of me. And I'm so glad that I did, because I honestly believe they would have done it. Peer pressure is that sort of thing. Like, they were all looking at each other like, you want to? I'll do it if you do it. Hail to the no. Keep your ass on this side of the railing and stay safe. Friends, I'm like, how many warning signs do you need? Later on, I learned that my poor husband, my husband was absolutely mortified, because he was like, you went into full-on lecture mode. And I was like, I don't feel bad. Somebody needed to. Because here's the thing. If that were our children, would we not want an adult to step in and say, no, that is not happening? Of course we would. Because I know at least my son, I don't think our daughter would be dumb enough to go over the thing. My son, being the daredevil that he is, and thinking that he's different than everybody and the same thing that happened to everybody else ain't going to happen to him, he would have stepped his little butt over that line if a friend asked him to. Well, I don't know that for a fact. Let me stop telling stories on him. I suspect that he would have been tempted to do it. And I would want someone responsible to say, no, you get your ass back on the trail. So you're welcome to all those kids. You're welcome. So that was the weekend, and we went to a few wineries and enjoyed, well, we went to one winery that has a really beautiful view of Charlottesville, and we just enjoyed ourselves. So if you're ever in the state of Virginia, good old Virginia, I would highly advise going out to the mountains on a clear day, especially in the fall. It's just a beautiful time to go. All right, let's get on to this eyeshadow look. I'm going to edit this video and hopefully cut some out, but right now I'm almost at 50 minutes. Jeez, y'all, I can talk. I'm going to go here and do like a light wash. It does have a little bit of kick up. You can't see it on, there you go. Do you see that? Okay, I'm going to put it against this black here. Watch what happens. Look over here. Okay, ready? Did you catch that little bit of powder? Oh, watch. You see how the powder kicks up? Do you see that? Oh, it's kicking up to my face now. So this does have kick up, okay? That's not necessarily a bad thing. You can see it coming off of the brush here too. You see it going up into the sky? Butterfly in the sky. I can fly twice as high. Did I tell y'all I met LeVar Burton? He is a trip, y'all. Senor Kunta Kinte. We were at a conference, and he was the speaker, the main speaker at a conference, and I was responsible for introducing him. You guys, oh my God. He was a trip. So I went up to say hello, to just ask, what did he want said during his introduction and all of that. And he was like, don't you want a picture with me? And I was like, what? Okay, I'll take a picture with you, but because I didn't want to embarrass him and say no. I didn't care about taking a picture with him. He was so charismatic and so sweet, but he's a little full of himself, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. I thought he was really interesting and entertaining. And my gosh, that man's history and record of performances, he's something else. Butterfly in the sky, I can fly twice as high. He did Reading Rainbow, and that's where that comes from. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this look. I'm going to stick to this side. Am I? I don't know. I'm feeling like I want to play with this one next. So let me just roll with that and see what happens with this look. This is the Refer 01 brush, which kind of has like a flattened head on it, which I like, but it's still a little fluffy. So the other thing I wanted to quickly just talk about, one, thank you for the responses on the video that I posted from my car. You remember that? The car vlog? I was in the airport and I was talking about dealing with imposter syndrome and how some wonderful things had happened at work that were helping me to get over that. I'm going to have to look in this mirror because I'm not getting good lighting looking in the recording on my phone. So I'm actually looking at the face of the phone while I record. So let me try to do it from up here. So, and I mentioned in that video that I really wanted to focus on doing like a top 100 reasons that I'm grateful to be alive during this time period, meaning from the time that I was born in 75 up to 2025. All the things that I've seen and done that bring me joy, that make me happy to have been part of this time period. And I've started to really think about that. I have not gotten to the point of sitting down and writing about it, but I'm thinking about it a lot. And I'm gonna tell you what, one of the main things that comes to mind, maybe because I'm watching a lot of reels, REELS, reels that have music, all of the beautiful, amazing, moving music that I've had the privilege, the benefit of listening to, and it's like in my bones. And it made me think about it again last night because I was watching Dune, which I talk about in the Sephora video. So I'm not going to get into it except to say I'm wholly obsessed with Dune 1 and Dune 2 and Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya. Oh my God. I feel like connected to those movies. It's so ridiculous. But the musical score for those movies is done by Hans Zimmer, one of the biggest musical geniuses of our time, and the way that his music so amazingly captures the mood of the moment and the feeling that you're supposed to feel as a viewer during each scene is masterfully done. It's like from another world. It's so well done. So that made me think about musical scores. It made me think about the music to The Lion King as a movie and how amazing that is still to this day. Like that movie's old, isn't it? That movie came out in what, the 90s? The Lion King, didn't it? I think it came out in the mid 90s, something like that. And to think that 30 years later or so, that movie is still hitting on all cylinders, friends. Oh, and the music. Love. So I'm feeling really privileged to have listened to beautiful musical scores. Oh, I've been watching videos of Lin-Manuel Miranda, the writer and lead actor for a long time in the play Hamilton. And there was one video I watched where he's in the van with, is it his name James Cohen? James Cohen or whatever, the guy that sings in the van with celebrities. He's driving them around New York City and they sing with him. So Lin-Manuel Miranda is in the front seat, and then they pick up 3 other stars, both that have been in movies and in Hollywood, and they all start singing these musical scores from Broadway together, and it's so touching and so beautiful. And then it moves on to another video with Adele in the same car with James, whatever his name is. And I'm like, oh, we are so privileged to have listened to such beautiful music and to be able to sing along and have that music just capture where we are emotionally and all of that. I don't know what to do next with this look. I think I am going to maybe do a little bit of this gray around here. And then I want to play with this blue because that's one of the features of the palette, this beautiful navy blue. But let me get into this gray. I think I'm going to use my finger. And the other music that really just, it does something to me. There's lots of music that does lots of things to me. You know, they take me back, the songs. There's nothing like more, I don't know, both exciting and melancholy too at the same time about when a song takes you back to a moment in time. But all 80s music. So I listen to a lot of different kinds of 80s music. I'm talking about hip hop, rap, R&B, pop hits, a little bit of was grunge around at that time. I feel like I listened to less of that than anything else. A little bit of metal. I was never really like a metalhead. Definitely soft rock, indie music in general. Like everything from like Phil Collins to Chicago to Run DMC to KRS-One. Only you can make me happy. So happy. Who sang that? Lisa all cried out. I'm going to get into it. And I want to make like a list of the songs that really moved me and maybe share that with you all. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will. I associate that song with my husband because he actually sang it to me while we were dating. Like one of our first dates. I shouldn't say one of our first dates, excuse me. We had been dating for a few minutes at that point because he ended up spending a night at my house and he sang it to me. And I thought that it was so cute and he has such a great voice. He sounds just like the guy singing it. And it always reminds me of that like sort of sweet, intimate moment he had where he was singing that to me and being vulnerable and cute. But I loved it during the 80s. I love the song Africa by Toto. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Oh my God. The memories that come back from all of these songs is just really something else. It's powerful. The power of music. The power of music is one of the things I am most grateful for. It can put me in any kind of mood, any kind of mood. All right, what are we going to do with this eyelid? I think I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow. That's the reason why I sing. That's a gospel song. So gospel was big in my youth as well. I think I'm going to use this one and then top it with that or something. I don't want to overdo the look. One of the things about this palette that people really love, the mattes are very easy to work with. You see they blended out right away. I didn't have a lot of trouble. And then the sparkly shades are dry. And that's a good thing, except they actually, oh my gosh, I just reminded myself to put some eyelid primer down because you're advised to put eyelid primer down. Let me do that first, friends. Hang on. Okay, so this is the Ulta Glitter Primer. I also have the Pat McGrath, I think it's called the Magic Wand. You can use anything like that or anything that's wet and sticky to put on your eyelids so that something like this, any kind of makeup product that's wet and sticky, sorry, that sounded really weird. So it comes out like that, and it's literally called a glitter glue. This isn't glue, but it behaves as that once you put the whatever the shadow is on there. So I'm just going to put that all the way to the inner corner. Can I also say, although I didn't know about this as a child, I wish I had because I would have watched a lot more gospel singing and maybe watched church on TV even. There's a woman named Lecresia, I think is her name, Campbell. Anyway, there is a clip of her singing. I believe she lived in Chicago. She has since passed away, if I'm not mistaken. She's no longer with us. And there is a video that is, I would say it's pretty viral. Like it's been watched a lot. I recently just came upon it. Like I'm late to the game on the Lecresia Campbell. Beautiful video of her singing a song called Magnify Your Name. It's a gospel song. And she has this enormous choir behind her, including a group of women that are singing like a second string to her main soprano voice. She's got this magnificent, heavenly voice with this soprano that goes up into octaves that would make Mariah Carey look like child's play. And it took me forever to realize that she is singing the words in those octaves. Like she's not just doing little riffs of sound. She's singing songs. The words, the phrases of the song. It's beautiful. Hold on, let me get it for y'all. Okay, so I went ahead and put the glitter on the other eye and a little bit of that lightest shade, that sort of white glitter shade on the inner corners. I do have a tiny bit of fallout right here, which I don't love. I'm gonna use the blue, the navy blue, as eyeliner on top and drag it through the bottom and try to buff that out. But let us pause to all experience the blessing that it is to listen to this woman sing. And I'm gonna be a little, I'm gonna jerry rig this, y'all, because I have my other phone here. And so her name is Lecresia Campbell. There's a better way to do this. I could pop it up on screen, but let's listen together. I have fast forwarded through most of the song. There's a lot of build up. The song is called Magnify Your Name. And look, you don't have to be a gospel follower. You don't have to be a Christian to enjoy the beauty that is this music. In fact, one of the things I'll share with you another time is some musical traditions from other religious faiths that I absolutely am moved by. So here we go. And I often get really teary-eyed listening to this, so I'll try not to cry on y'all. She's about to break it down, listen. Wait for it. Here we go. Oh my God. Every time I come across this video on any social media outlet, I stop everything I'm doing and I listen to it like 4 or 5 times. And I cry and I act a fool. When I realized that this woman went into those super high octaves and was still clearly enunciating the words of the song, Almighty, Lord God, omnipotent, glorious creator, it blows my mind. Not to mention the sheer sort of physical and spiritual and emotional power that it takes to be able to sing that way. And you saw how the audience was responding. They love it. So, I mean, what a blessing it must have been to listen to this woman sing in person and be in the glory of, getting all emotional, the glory of that voice. So, ooh, that was a moment. Let me finish this makeup, y'all, and then say goodbye, y'all. So I did the navy blue through the eyeliner and then down here underneath the lower lash. Can I just show y'all? This is how crazy I am. I get seasonal covers for my phone. So here's the one for like Halloween fall. It has kind of Halloweeny colors, but fall with the sunflowers. And then I got the Pop Socket. That's not the song. It's actually Hot Pockets. Hot Pockets. Have you ever heard the Jim Gaffigan little skit where he jokes around about Hot Pockets? Pop Sockets. So anyway, this has little fall flowers and pumpkins on it. And I love this. And I have this also on the phone that I'm recording on. So here is the eye look. I am now going to use this, what do you call it? Lash Clash mascara. This should be in black. Y'all, I didn't even check the dang color that I put in the cart. Hopefully there's only one color. I love that this also has the little belt. I call this like a decorative belt of the YSL symbol. That is on the Lieb bottles. So cute. So let's see what this is giving. And this is coming straight out of the tube. I've never used this before. And you know, mascara gets better after a few times of use and air has mixed with the stuff inside. So it feels just on pulling out like a rather sort of thick formula. It doesn't look very shiny, like it's super wet. So let's see what we got going on here. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. Let me crimp the eyes first. Oh my gosh, y'all. So what is everybody doing for Thanksgiving? My family's coming into town and we are actually not going to bake a turkey. I kind of want to do a traditional baked turkey, or I want to fry one, but we don't have a turkey fryer. I had one in a previous life. Gosh, it takes like 10,000 gallons of peanut oil. You spend more on the dang oil to fry the turkey than on the turkey itself. So we're not doing that, and I'm not baking one. And I have a family member that does not eat pork. And so I was trying to think about like what to do. I didn't want to do a whole nother, like a roast, which would be another option, like a beef roast or something. But we all love steaks. So I'm going to get some really nice quality ribeye steaks, or maybe some fillets. Some filet mignon, filet mignon, and from Costco. Like get the really expensive stuff and make sure everybody has a big fat steak for dinner. And then the kids have requested sweet potato casserole, which I make a dang good one. My sweet potato casserole will have you licking your fingers. It is so, so good. And then they want cranberry sauce. They do, and they want stuffing. So they want that part, but they don't want the turkey. So steak, cranberry sauce, stuffing, sweet potato casserole. I will probably make overkill on carbs. I will probably do overkill on the carbs and do sweet plantains too, so people can have those if they want them. A big salad. And I don't know what vegetable I want to do. I don't know, because people are really funny about vegetables. I might just do asparagus, because most everybody likes asparagus and eats it. Everything else, somebody's going to get fussy about it and piss me off. Because when people come, I really want them to at least try all the food. It's the one time during the holidays when I get fussy about people not trying. Normally I let people eat whatever they want, and I don't bother people. No, I'm gonna go in with the mascara. But during the holidays, because you put so much time and effort into it, I get very funny and fussy about that. I don't know what pies I'm gonna make though. I need a little mirror. Hang on. I like a sweet potato pie and I like a pumpkin pie. But my God, how un-American of my family to not enjoy those pies. My husband likes pecan pie, and so I may make that for him. And I really think I want to make a peanut butter and chocolate pie. What do y'all think? What are you making? So last year we had this big Italian feast. I made this enormous lasagna from scratch. My husband made focaccia bread. I did a big roast pork. I did the Puerto Rican rice with the peas and the olives and all of that in it. God, it was so good. They're like yellow rice, all this stuff. I mean, we made food upon food upon food, dessert upon dessert. We had a big old meal for everyone. And we had way too much food left over, and people couldn't really enjoy themselves because it was too much food, you know? So that kind of killed the purpose and the point of making it all. So this year I want to do one main meal and that's it, and some desserts. I want to have a few options, but I don't want my entire island full of 10,000 dishes. We got about 9 people between our 3 kids, and then my mom and dad and my 2 sisters are coming as well. And I always like to have extra food in case like other people come. We don't have a lot of family in the area, but perhaps like, let's say my son's biological dad and his wife and their son comes over. They're more than welcome to hang out and have a meal or something like that. My son's grandfather on his dad's side. Look, my house is open to everyone. We welcome folks and we love them all the same, like they're our immediate family. So y'all want to come? Come on down. Come on down to Richmond and have Thanksgiving dinner with us. All right. I don't know what I think about this eyeshadow formula. It's all right, but let's see how it performs a second and third and fourth time, and maybe after a week of use, because that's when I really get a good understanding of what the eyeshadow is capable of. Let me just finish the look because this video is long enough and I'll come back to say goodbye to y'all. Okay, I think here is the final look. I have some wins and some, I wouldn't say duds, but a few regrets, mostly on my own technique. And every video I have regrets on the technique. So it just is what it is. I am liking the foundation. It's kind of hard to tell because I have the powder over it as well. So in fairness, it's not just the foundation, but it's looking nice and even so far. I do feel like it's a little bit heavy down in here. That's my own fault. I applied a couple of layers. I don't like the way it's looking on the inside of the nose. So that usually tells me that it's a little bit thicker than I would like, even though it seemed like it was runny on the back of my hand. So that's that Bobbi Brown Weightless Skin Foundation. I'll keep using it and seeing what I think. But I like the color overall and I like the coverage very much. The eyeshadow palette, I think I overdid it on the like glitters. I could have been a little bit more subtle, but overall I like it and I don't have any issues, with the exception of a tiny bit of fallout. I don't even know if it's shown up on camera here and here, despite using the glitter glue. And that might just be too because I was heavy-handed in applying it with my fingers, but there was a little bit of fallout. Now for cheeks, I ended up using, so remember I have that little bit of highlighter. What did I use? The Natasha Denona I Need a Nude highlighter. And then I used this Milani Coral Cove 05 on the cheeks, which I was hoping would actually be a little bit lighter, and it ended up being deeper than I was hoping. So that's interesting. Again, I apply with a heavy hand because I have problems, but I ran a little bit of that up here, a little bit over the nose as well. And I always like to do this with whatever brush I'm using for blush. I like to run it through my eyeshadow like that. One, it helps to smooth out any remaining lines in the eyeshadow and deposit just the slightest bit of color to draw these two areas together. On the lip, come on here, cooperate with me. I used I used this Givenchy Holiday Release. I don't love that it has velvet on the component, but the color is Le Rouge Deep Velvet number 12. So that's on my lips. Of course, I used a lip liner, but I wanted something a little bit on the rosy side. So there we go. That's the look for today. That's what we're going to go with. I'm going to film some videos. I hope y'all enjoyed story time and hanging out and hearing about these products. Oh, the other regret I have is I think I put too much finishing powder up here and then had to go back over it with the bronzer, and I feel like it looks ashy now. So that's my own dang fault, y'all. On the eyes, what did I use here? I used the Gimme Brow Volumizing Pencil. This is a pencil. This is in the color 3. It's a little bit dry. So, I do that in here and take it down to the sides. And then I ran some brow product. I think it's also an Anastasia product through my hair, my brow hairs. Not this hair, through this hair. And for my lip liner, I used the By Mario lip liner in the color Ultra. It's called the Ultra Suede Sculpting Lip Pencil, and it's in the color Almond. Because I was too lazy to really think about the right liner color. So that gives a little bit of depth on the outside. Because my lips are misshapen, part of what I do is draw outside of the line, and I try to go like from almost like a 1/4 inch in. I don't do it to the edge because then I look clownish. I do it from about a 1/4 inch in. I got lipstick on my teeth. and come down and then dip back in a 1/4 inch on the other side. And I always overline a little bit because I feel like it makes my lips look a little bit fuller, especially on camera. So that's the look, at least under these bathroom lights. We'll see what it looks like under the actual filming lights. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for story time, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, friends.